They say start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. And that's exactly what we've seen from Sisonke Stokvel. What began as a small group of friends has grown into an 18-member collective, making real moves and differences. This group has big ambitions, and to unpack strategies for bridging social and business goals, I'm now joined by Stokvel and Burial Society experts from Thai Vision Media, Thabiso Masrubele. Thabiso, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
Now, Thabiso, this group, it's not unique because you do have a lot of Stokvel groups in South Africa where they have a mixture of the unemployed and employed and entrepreneurs. So what is Sisonke getting right here, and what other Stokvels can take from them?
I think what Sisonke got right is what brought them together. The foundation, the purpose of forming a group. They recognize that they've got a collective aim and they all aspire to the same goals. And I think that's always a good start, to make sure that you've got like-minded people who are coming together and they agree on a common purpose and what goals they want to achieve for themselves as a group, and assisting each other individually to achieve personal and group goals.
What are usually the downsides of having such a mix? And you can be honest.
Normally what happens is, our development as people is never the same. So some people, are a bit more fortunate than other people. Some people are able to advance quicker than other people. So where you've got a group of people that are different. Some people have consistent income. Other people don't have, they have inconsistent income. So there's always the human factor that comes in, where one looks at the other one and says, in meetings, when they're trying to agree, maybe let's say on a premium, arriving at a premium, then it becomes almost a discussion around you are basing your argument on your own situation, meaning you know that you've got a consistent income and that's why you're happy for us to have a premium increase of 10% because you're getting a 10% increase from your job. Us, on the other hand, who are, self-employed, can't necessarily afford that thing. So the human element is usually what comes together, and we always remind Stokvels that don't focus necessarily on the differences that you might have. The emphasis should be on the common goals that you have, and always look at the successes that you've had up to a particular point, and let that be the driving force instead of the differences that you might have, which will always exist. So it's about acknowledging the differences. Don't imagine that they don't exist, but acknowledge the differences and move beyond them. So use a balance of scale that says, if we've got differences, we've got 4 differences, but we've got 8 common objectives. So focus on the positives rather than the negatives.
I think one of the positives from this group as well is that they've figured out a system that works for them when it comes to contributions and claims. And it seems like they charge, or they allow members to borrow up to what they've contributed. Anything more than that, they charge interest. So how can Thai Vision Media help them to formalize their structure and make it even better? How can they improve also?
I think they've been fortunate in the sense that they haven't really come up with a huge challenging situation where members taken money and not being unable to pay it back. I think one of the things that we think they should be doing is just concretizing and formalizing the arrangements that they currently have. So it's to reduce all of these agreements that they have into paper. We always believe that, gentlemen's agreements are great. They can be verbal. The problem will arise once maybe one member is no longer there. And we always say, anticipate, plan for the worst so that you're always in a good situation. We're not saying that's what will happen, but it is a possibility and probably an eventuality that you have to plan for, because once you deal with money, you have to consider all different scenarios that are possible. So it's very possible that one day someone will take the money, be unable to pay it back, or just simply refuse to pay it back for whatever reason, because things do happen. So you have to consider what are the possible eventualities that might happen, and then you need to protect the interest not only of the individual but of the group as a whole, because if you protect the interest of the group, then you are protecting the interest of the individual. And also, administration helps to mediate between people. So once you've got things that are written down, it's easier to mediate because you always go back to the rules and the agreements. So for instance, if someone says, I took money, but mine was at the threshold, it wasn't beyond what I had contributed, and someone says, no, but it was the month after. And so that small technicality then leads people to interpreting things differently. But if you've got it on paper and people have agreed to things that are very specific in nature and you've thought about all the different permutations, that then helps mediate and resolve any potential conflicts that might exist. And I think that's how people and how Stokvels should look at, the legalities and contractual things, is that they help in an event of a dispute. And so they shouldn't look at it as, something that we started this thing as people in the same neighborhood, we know each other, we trust each other. So having contracts is an issue of distrust. And I think that's what's happened. People think now when we introduce a contract, it means, hey, no, you don't trust me anymore, that I won't do. But they shouldn't look at it that way. They should just look at it as, I know that I will pay you, and therefore it's easy for me to commit in writing and in my signature that I will pay you. It shouldn't be that difficult to do.
Well, there's so much more for us to explore when it comes to just the nature of Stokvels in general. So please stick around. After the break, we'll look at how Sisonke can move from saving to scaling with property, entrepreneurship, and more. Don't go anywhere.